Hello, Whidbey. Oye, Maya, quítame lo malo y échalo en el mar. Oye, Maya, quítame lo malo y échalo en el mar. I want to acknowledge my great-grandmothers, my great-grandfathers, and those whose shoulders I stand upon, because it is because of their effort that I am here with you today. I am an immigrant woman of Afro-Caribbean descent. I was born in a rural village of about 200 people in the Dominican Republic. My village is called Cruz Verde. I grew up without electricity or running water, running barefooted, looking for mangoes, listening to the elders talk at night, telling stories. In some ways, it was a very idyllic childhood. Yeah, that's me, in my little yellow dress when I came to the United States. I immigrated from the South Bronx at age 11. I spoke no English. Instead of looking for mango trees and surrounded by mango trees, I was surrounded by concrete tenements, a big drug epidemic, and I struggle. I struggle with the language, the culture, with the lack of connection with the earth. Those were really, really hard times. My mother was struggling too. She committed suicide. I now know that I and my family were in culture shock. One thing that did not change, though, between what I experienced in the Dominican Republic and what I experienced here, was the vision of what I wanted from my life was not matching what the culture was telling me was the norm. From an early age, I was considered a rebel. I did not conform to the gender roles. I did not like that girls should be washing dishes and cooking and cleaning, while the boys were outside playing and having a grand old time. I was conflicted between my inner truth and what society was telling me was the norm and was imposing it upon me. In my Dominican village, I was told again and again, you have to learn these things, otherwise no man's gonna want you. And in my vocational high school, I was told, I said, I want to be a carpenter. And they said, that's a men's profession. And I was kept out. So I suffered many different kinds of marginalizations and abuse, from being Black, Caribbean, not speaking English well, from not adhering to the status quo. I was asking too many questions. Many times, in many ways, I was told that my point of view was wrong, that my identity was wrong, that my skin color was wrong, that my hair was wrong, that I was wrong. Over the years, many people and experiences, however, helped me to realize that I actually had power, and they helped me to connect to my own inner power. And one of those empowering communities were when I was living in Albany, New York, I met a group of women that were part of an organization called Holding Our Own. Holding Our Own was a fund for women led by women of color. Their mission was to support and uplift the leadership of women, particularly women of color. And they work with a multicultural, intergenerational group of women, and they bridge many different communities through their philanthropic and social justice agenda. As a young college student, I was discovering feminism and entering into a life of activism. Coming from a situation where I had very little support, at Holding Our Own, I found these wise women mentors, and I found young adult women who also collaborated with me and had passion. They believed in me. They showed me opportunities and connected me to the resources. I had entered a community of empowerment. And I experienced myself, the potential of that community, as a place where young women like me could step forward and find my voice, finding my power and chart a way forward. That experience and inspiration stayed with me and guided me over these many years. Now let's fast forward. There's so many stories. I'm here on Whidbey Island minding my own business, you know. I'm healing in the woods, you know, commuting with deers and, you know, owls, learning how to garden from my dear sweet friend Myrna Toomey, who passed away, and meeting amazing women. And one of those women was Peggy Taylor, or is, thank God she's still alive, Peggy Taylor. And she said, Victoria, I know a group you need to meet. I said, Peggy, what is it? She goes, it's called Young Women Empowered. You must come. I was like, okay, Peggy, I'll go. And I went. And as soon as I entered, I felt the same community that I had experienced back home, back there in Albany, New York. It was this Young Women Empowered. Now, as you heard, I am co-director of this organization. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, and in my work with Young Women Empowered, we call it Whidbey for short, we're very focused on how to create pathways for these young women and girls to access the support that they need. These girls are mostly immigrant girls from low-income backgrounds like myself. At Whidbey, we ask, how can girls of color find empowerment in a culture that devalues them and disregards their way of seeing? How can all young women access the resources and allies to be change makers in the world? One of our basic values at Whidbey is girls' voice matters. I understand that to mean not just that it is important for girls to find their power and their voice and speak out. It also means that the world needs the voice of women and girls. I want to tell you about Aisha. She's in the middle there. This is 3 young women that are part of our leadership council. Aisha came to Whidbey as a very shy, introverted young woman. She signed up for the year-long program that we have, and she loved it. She was just ecstatic. She started telling everybody about it. And then she decided to do Whidbey Right, which is the camp that we hold here with a partnership with Hedgebrook at the Whidbey Institute. And she, again, just was so in love with the organization and so in love with her experience that she started looking around her life and her world. And she noticed that the mosque that she participates in is predominantly being run by men, and that the voices of the women and the girls are not being recognized or valued. So she decided she's going to start a program in her mosque and bring some of the skills that she's learning at Whidbey to the mosque. So she started a group called Sisterhood. Yeah. And they are making tremendous changes in their mosque, and they're being recognized. So in our work with Whidbey, we strive to create communities of belonging that embraces differences without erasing those differences. We aim to find a common ground while leaving space for all of our uniqueness, our differences in identity, our intersectionality. So you see, I am a woman. I am of Afro-Caribbean descent. I am bisexual. Yeah, I'm coming out of the closet now. I am an immigrant, and my full name is Juana Victoria Santos Fabian. Thank you very much.